Good morning, grandkids. It's time for another chapter in The Phantom of the Woods, the book that I'm writing, and I hope you're enjoying it. This is chapter 5. I slipped into the house, shutting the door softly behind me. I stood still and listened. No sounds. Everyone was in bed. I breathed a sigh of relief and went on into my room. I shrugged off my shirt and pants and crawled under my covers. It was quite a while before my eyes finally closed and I dozed off into a light and fitful sleep. My dreams were tormented by ghosts drifting among the twisted, gnarly trees. When the sun peeked through my window, shining across my pillow, I was more than willing to get up and leave my dreams behind. I showered and dressed and went into the kitchen. Mom was the only one in there, untying her apron as she walked toward the living room. "Where is everyone?" I asked. "Well, your dad's out on the tractor and your brother's out back feeding the chickens." "I think I'll go out to the field with Dad this morning," I said. "Don't you want any breakfast first, Trevor? It's a long time to lunch, unless you will all want to come in and make yourselves sandwiches. I have a church meeting with some of the ladies and I'll be gone half the day," Mom said. "Nah, I'm not hungry. We can get our lunch. No need to hurry," I said and went on out the door. I stopped at the back fence to see if Champ was doing okay. He was in the coop, his feed sack empty, and he was sitting on a small stump holding a baby chicken. "Look what I found, Tuck," he called over to me. "This was the first egg to hatch. Isn't it cute?" "Yeah, but they don't like it when they smell their babies and know that we've been handling them. You should put it back in the nest." "Okay," he said as he went into the shack where the rows of nests were. "I'm going out to the field and ride around on the tractor with Dad. Want to come with me?" "Nah, I'll stay here. Mom wants me to do chores. Guess I better not sneak off," he said with a grin. "Okay," I said. "See you later." I turned and started out across the field. I saw the tractor just as Dad made a turn and was headed back up the row. I'd meet him about halfway. I walked on through the beans, and when we met up, Dad slowed down so I could grab hold and jump on. Then he went on up the row. The tractor was really loud, and I had no way to talk with him. I finally poked him on the shoulder, and he looked at me with raised eyebrows. I made a motion that I wanted to talk, and he gave me a nod. As we neared the end of the row, he throttled down and eased to a stop. "What's up, son? And before you say anything, I know you weren't in your room last night." He turned and looked at me. I could see the worry in his eyes, so I didn't hem-haw around about it. "I was up in the woods half the night, Dad. I made a little blind, and I just sat in it and waited. Sure enough, that thing that we saw the other night showed up. And before you say anything, I had been in town, and coming back home, I stopped and talked to Mr. Dell. I was helping with something that he was working on. He started talking, and I was asking him about what he had seen up in the woods before. I finally let him know that I was going up there last night." "Well, all right, at least you let someone know. You seem a little shaken. Did something happen?" Dad said. "Something really happened," I said, and told him what went on the night before. It was weird, but interesting. But finally, after it started moaning, it got too spooky for me, and I took off running back home. "Do you think it wants to tell you something?" he said. It looked like it was trying to take some kind of shape. Could you tell what it was? Not really, I said. It looked maybe human, the way it kept pulling free a hand or a leg, trying to take some kind of shape. When it actually made a noise, it was the creepiest. We both sat there for a minute, then I said, I want to go back, but I want someone to go with me. Do you think you could get away from Mom without too much fuss? Would she let us go? Well, first of all, I'm glad you're sensible enough not to be going up there by yourself again. Second of all, I'll take care of your mom. It'll be okay. She's worried about this too. Listen, I've got to get this field finished, and then I'm going to go into town and ask some questions. Talk to a few people. I don't want to stir up people and start a parade up there, but I do want to find a few things out. Something keeps niggling in the back of my mind. I want to see if I can find something out. He reached down, throttled the old tractor back up, turned it, and headed down the next row. I hopped off and went on home. That afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table, studying through a thin book Mom had handed me about some of the U.S. history. She had Champ miserably working on his arithmetic again. She was sitting there at the table with us, drinking a cup of tea and shelling peas for dinner. We all three looked up when we heard the tractor roaring up to the barn. Well, your dad's stopping work a little early today, she said. We then heard him start the old pickup and pull it out of the garage, then stop it outside the kitchen door and slam its door. He opened into the kitchen just enough to poke his head in and say, I need to go into town for a little bit. Won't be gone long. Then he shut the door and took off. Mom looked at me for a minute but didn't say anything. But I knew that she was wondering what was going on. I would have talked to her if Champ hadn't been sitting right there. I've got my papers mixed up. Okay, I know where I'm at now. Sorry, kids. Near supper time, we heard the truck pull into the garage. Champ and I were on the floor in the living room playing a game. After Dad came in, I heard him talking with Mom in the kitchen. I was winning this game with Champ, so I decided to slack off a little and let him win. We were playing a game of cards called Slap. You divided the pack of cards in half, and you each took half. You started laying down a card onto a stack, one after the other. When a card was put down, say a 3, and the other person put down their next card and it was a 3 also, any pair like that, you both slapped on it to get it. The one whose hand landed on it first got the pile. When our cards were all gone, whoever had picked up the most cards won the game. Champ liked to slap fast and hard, so my hand could get pretty sore. Of course, it usually involved a lot of yelling and screaming, so Mom was always hollering at us to quieten down. Anyway, we finished the last game and turned on the radio to our favorite show, The Inner Sanctum. Mom and Dad came in and sat down to listen to the show with us. Mom took out some sewing to work on. Looked like she'd be sewing buttons on some of our shirts. Champ and I were sitting on the floor up in front of the radio so we could hear good, our usual place. I looked back at Dad and he gave me a nod as he tamped tobacco down into his pipe. I knew his nod was letting me know that he'd be in to talk when I went into bed. I'd probably go early because I was eager to hear if he had learned anything in town. So that's it for today, guys. And next Friday, we'll hear what Dad has to say to Tucker about what he learned in town, if anything, and what they're going to do. So I will see you all then, and be good, come back, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.